In January 2021, photographer Jeroen Dunink was traveling along the Oodnadatta track in South Australia when he spotted something wild just off the road. Two massive, mean-looking lizards were squared up on their hind legs, standing like humans, locked in an all-out brawl. Blood dripped from their throats where they'd bitten each other, their limbs locked in a vicious push-and-pin battle like wrestlers fighting for survival. For nearly 20 minutes, neither backed down, until one finally overpowered the other and took what he came for: territory. Jeroen grabbed his camera and recorded what would become some of the rarest footage ever seen of these beasts locked in combat. With venomous jaws, blade-like claws built for tearing, and a thick, whip-like tail that slams with the force of a hammer, this nightmare of a reptile doesn't just stand like a human, it can even take down animals as big as Australia's famously ripped heavyweight boxers, the kangaroos. Meet the killer of killer snakes, the Perentie. Venomous giganteus, better known as the Perentie, is the largest living species of monitor lizard in Australia. Its scientific name comes from the genus of monitor lizards Venomous, while giganteus, Latin for giant, speaks for itself. These beasts thrive in the dry, unforgiving terrain of Australia, from the rocky outcrops and hard-packed soil to the western, southern, and northern territories to the wide-open landscapes of Queensland. But despite roaming such a huge stretch of land, they're practically ghosts. Perenties are masters of staying out of sight, especially around people. These tank-like lizards can stretch anywhere from 8.2 to 9.9 feet long and pack on 44 to 88 pounds of pure muscle. That makes them the fourth largest monitor lizard in the world, only behind the Komodo dragon, Asian water monitor, and crocodile monitor. But what they lack in sheer bulk, they make up for in raw speed and freakish agility. Unlike the other heavyweight monitor lizards, the Perentie is lean, long, muscular, and made for the chase. Its sleek frame lets it weave through the rugged terrain like a heat-seeking missile, which is exactly why some of Australia's fastest, most agile animals end up on its menu. Take kangaroos, for example. These powerhouse marsupials can hit speeds of 44 miles per hour, leap 10 feet in the air, and cover 30 feet in a single bound. On top of that, they are jacked, built like heavyweight boxers, throwing punches and shoving rivals out of their way with brute force. And yet, Perenties take them down. Before the pursuit even starts, a Perentie relies on its razor-sharp sense of smell to lock onto its target. It can track prey with pinpoint accuracy, even if it's buried underground. This comes down to a snake-like forked tongue, which flicks out, gathering scent particles from the air. When it pulls the tongue back in, it presses it against a special organ on the roof of its mouth, instantly analyzing which side picked up the stronger scent. Just like that, it knows exactly which direction to go. Their scaly, yellowish bodies let them blend seamlessly into the dry, rocky landscape, lying in wait until the perfect moment to strike. When they do, there is no mercy, no hesitation. If a chase breaks out, their massive airways and muscular necks work like high-powered intake valves, pulling in huge gulps of oxygen. It lets them run full throttle while staying completely fueled up. They may not be faster than a kangaroo, but they don't need to be. They just keep on running until the prey wears out and collapses. If that's not terrifying enough, they don't always run on all fours. When they go full sprint, they sometimes lift up on just two legs, bolting across the land like some kind of ancient lizard-man hybrid. The ancient Aboriginal beliefs of the religion talk about a mystical creature called Ningtaka or Ningtaku, which is a Perentie lizard in human form. This creepy bipedal stance of a Perentie probably had a lot to do with the legend. But it's not just about chasing prey. Perenties and a bunch of other monitors, even smaller lizards, sometimes run on two legs when they're fleeing danger or scoping out their surroundings. Since their usual low-to-the-ground stance can limit their field of view, they'll occasionally rear up on their hind legs to peek over tall grass, rocks, or any obstacles in their way. Once they've spotted their target, they can drop back down and move in. When they finally grab hold of prey, their venomous saliva seeps into the bloodstream, dropping blood pressure so fast that the victim can barely move before the Perentie's crushing jaws finish the job. If it's something big, like a kangaroo, the lizard tears it apart into smaller chunks, throwing each piece back with a series of violent head tosses until the whole thing disappears down its throat. That said, kangaroos aren't always on the menu. If a mob is too large or a kangaroo catches wind of the threat, it can outrun a Perentie. That's when the lizard shifts gear and hunts smaller prey. Reptiles, birds, mammals, dead or alive, even other Perenties, sometimes as big as itself. They'll even go after Australia's only native canine, the dingo, which is, by the way, a predator known for hunting other monitors. Not to mention they've got no problem taking on some of the most venomous snakes on the continent. This massive Perentie has its sights locked on a lone kangaroo that strayed from the pack. Standing perfectly still, it waits for the right moment before launching into an all-out chase. But right now, the odds aren't in its favor. Out in the open, the kangaroo has a home field advantage. With nothing in its way, it can hit top speed in seconds, leaving the Perentie behind. But if the terrain were harsher, rockier, more isolated, the story might end differently. But in a flat-out sprint, the kangaroo pulls ahead. After a long, punishing chase, it escapes. At least for now. But the Perentie isn't one to mope over a missed meal. Without skipping a beat, it shifts its focus to another target nearby. And this one is even deadlier, a king brown snake. These snakes rank among the most venomous in the world. One bite can unload 150 milligrams of venom, which is 7 times more than Australia's infamous tiger snakes, and even more than a black mamba's average dose. The Perentie, however, doesn't care. After thousands of years of evolutionary trench warfare with snakes, it's built up a resistance to their venom. With ruthless precision, it makes its move, lunging straight for the snake's head, locking its jaws down and ending the fight before it even begins. These nasty lizards gorge themselves until they are practically bursting, then sprawl out in the sun, belly full, letting their meal settle while basking. Beyond chasing down prey, these crafty reptiles are expert raiders as well. They have no trouble digging into burrows or scaling trees to snatch up eggs or unsuspecting prey that thought it has found a safe spot. With massive, backward-curving claws and powerful limbs, they can also carve out a burrow from scratch in just minutes, making them as comfortable underground as they are on the surface. And they aren't limited to land, either. Perenties are equally deadly in water, using their sinuous bodies and laterally flattened tails to slice through currents with ease. Their powerful swimming ability lets them hunt in and around water. Thanks to their low metabolic rate, they can stay submerged for up to an hour before needing to surface for air. When it comes to humans, though, they're not much of a threat. Their elusive nature keeps them far from populated areas, and they'd rather avoid a fight than start one. In ancient times, they were hunted for food, and their fat was used for medicinal and ceremonial purposes. But as Aboriginal desert communities in Australia have dwindled, so has the tradition of hunting these massive lizards. During the peak of summer and spring, Perenties cross paths as males go head-to-head in brutal, bloody wrestling matches to claim territory and right to mate. The winner walks away with both. Once victorious, the male starts courting the female by trailing behind her, rubbing his head and neck against her body, and running its claws gently down her back. They mate repeatedly over several days until the female loses interest, and then they part ways for good. I feel I'm being called out. After mating, the female lays her eggs, usually between 6 to 12 in deep sandy burrows or termite mounds. Nearly a year later, the hatchlings emerge, sticking close to their mother for months before venturing out on their own. In the wild, Perenties can live for up to 40 years of age. Right now, there's no solid estimate for their population size, but it's large enough for Perenties to be listed as least concern on the IUCN Red List. Remember that footage of the Perenties wrestling from earlier? While that was a rare sight caught on camera, staged Perentie fights actually happen in certain parts of the world. People pit captive lizards against each other, pushing them to the point where one dominates the other, all for the sake of competition. And it doesn't stop there. Some breeders even selectively raise the animals to make them better at fighting. Obviously, it's an illegal sport, which is why there's not a whole lot of info out there. But it's not like Perenties are out here giving press statements either, so I guess that balances things out? Does it? Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, what's your take on these kinds of animal fights? Should they be completely banned? Or should they be allowed under strict regulations? Not that slapping a rulebook on something this brutal makes it any better, but you can still drop your thoughts in the comments. What's wrong with that? And as always, I'll catch you in the next one.